Hello, friends, and welcome to Chapter 16 of the Dialogues, From Image to Presence. So, what this chapter is offering us is a deeper recognition of who you are and what's actually going on here. And it's very intriguing. It's foundational for everything that is to come. So, we begin with verse 1. You are now in the final stage of this state of becoming. This is the stage in which movement, being, and expression come together into the recreation of wholeness that will be expressed in the elevated self of form. So in the next slide, we're going to go into more detail of how movement, being, and expression show up in your experience. But for now, just recognize this idea that, okay, you've gotten really far and you're in this final state of becoming. He goes on to say that the creation story is occurring in everybody right now, seemingly one at a time. It looks like people are having realizations at different times. But of course, that's just part of the time form illusion continuum that we're in. You can experience movement, being, and expression without expressing wholeness because you're in a state of becoming. So you can have these experiences but still not really know yourself as a whole being. Then he goes on to say, this is a perceived state. It's not real. You've never been anything other than whole, and neither has anyone else. But we have perceived ourselves as being less than whole. So you are never anything other than whole, but you can perceive that you are not yet complete. Completing the state of becoming moves you from the state of a perceived image of yourself into a state of seeing, knowing, and living the truth of who you are. So when you finish the state of becoming, you're going to know without a doubt what's actually true. You probably already have a sense of this. This is not a foreign idea to you at this point. Verse 6, when you move from the state of becoming to the state of being whole, you will have moved through the act of creation, and you will have become a creator. You will be ready for creation of the new. Now, just a word of caution here. If we have an idea that now I'm going to be a creator, I'm going to be this new and improved person who can magnetize and create things at their command, just leave your whole idea of what creating is open. Don't come to any conclusions about what that is and what you're going to be able to do and what's going to happen, because there's a surprise in store and it's not what we have thought of. We've conceptualized the idea of a creator that's been based on a self-image, and that's, you can't create from a self-image. So just leave it open. You don't have to know what that is. You don't have to know what you're going to create. You don't have to know what it's going to be like to be a creator. All you have to know is you're going to come into your true nature, and your true nature is that of a creator. So that's effortless. Whatever you create is going to be effortless. It's not going to be this super person. So just leave it open and find out. Verse 6 tells us, when your being and identity, yourself and your awareness of self are whole and complete, being, like love, is no longer capable of being learned, for it no longer has attributes. So it did tell us that being can be learned. Love can't be learned, because love is, it's beyond any concept, and certainly beyond learning. But you can learn to be while in form. because it's the thing that's missing. So we have then the three principles of creation, which are love's givens, which have been extended into the experience of form, which is the experience that you're having. So these are the three principles. There's movement. Creation always has movement because that's what creation is. It's the one beautiful, wonderful, the one essence, the thing, the juice, God, all that is, moving itself. And when it moves itself, then things happen. And that's the whole idea of creation. If there were no movement, there would be no creation. There would just be being. So in the world of form, certainly movement is an essential component that we are all familiar with, because nothing is ever the same. Ever. Everything comes and everything goes. Movement is an essential component of creation, and it's certainly an essential component of the experience of form. No argument there. Then we move to the concept of being, which is really awareness of the self, awareness of what is. And this can be learned now. This is where the action is in your own recognition, your own realization, is because we were able to have an experience of form being completely clueless as to who or what we actually were. That was built into the game of Earth, built into the program. And there are many, many people walking the planet who just think that they're this person with this lifespan who was born at this time and went to this school and, will die at this time and plays these roles in life, and that's who they are. They're that character that they're playing. That's it. And there are many, many beings who have that experience. It doesn't make them less whole, and it didn't make you less whole, but it made the perception of yourself less whole. So really all we're changing here is your perception, and moving away from the image that you carry of yourself and others as being this limited being with a lifespan, into actual recognition and access to the awareness of self that you actually are. This is what you're learning. And then the third component is expression, which is a combination of the first two, which is being, that is awareness, engaged in movement. So it's not just mindless movement, it's being, when you're aware of your own being, then moving within your own true nature. And as you move within your own true nature, that's where the creation happens, is in the expression. Because then being itself is moving in form, moving in a world of form, moving in a world of changing phenomenon. So the whole thing then, it becomes whole, becomes complete. It becomes the one having the experience of form in this whole capacity, this recognition of what's actually going on, and there's a delight actually in the whole game, the whole activity of form. So you can't actually choose to stand apart from love, but you can, while existing in time, choose to stand apart from movement, being, and expression. Even the movement, you don't have to be aware of the changing phenomenon. I mean, it happens. You can't stop it. There's no way you can stop it, but you can check out. You don't have to be aware of it. And you'll notice that you can do this in your own experience. You can become aware of how the chair feels on your back or on your bottom. You can be aware of how your toes feel in your shoes. You can be aware of how the air feels on your skin or what the organs in your body are doing. These are all changing phenomenon, and you have the freedom to shift your awareness to take in the changing phenomenon that's presenting itself. Or you can also stand apart from it. You can be in opposition to it. You can fight all of it. And certainly being, you don't have to be aware of who you really are at all. We've all experienced that. And expression, being a natural, true nature expression, you can stand apart from that as well, at least to some extent. Verse 10, while you are becoming, you are still being acted upon by creation because you are not yet whole. What does this mean? That means that there's a momentum and a movement in your active becoming that is happening independent of your free will and sometimes your awareness. So just like a flower is going to bloom the way it's going to bloom, your awakening, your realization is on a trajectory now that creation is in control of and you're not. So you can trust it because it's bringing you to your fullness, which is the natural movement. Verse 11, it would be impossible for these principles of creation not to be constantly occurring in everything that lives, because all that lives because of creation's continuing creation. So now this is expanding this idea. It's not just within you. It's within everything and everybody that's alive. And there's a joy in that, and there's a comfort in that. It's not your job to fix anybody. They are being acted upon by creation. And they have their own little drama with it that's absolutely perfect, that for them, for the experience that they came here to have, just as you are having the experience that you came here to have. And so we can relax. We don't have to evangelize. We don't have to convince everybody that we know the way out, because everyone is being acted upon by creation, and it's all perfect. Verse 12, becoming is the movement from image to presence. Okay, so this is the key idea in this chapter. So let's just go on. At times you fully realize who you are. You feel no lack or doubt. At other times you realize you are in the state of becoming, an in-between state. Boy, haven't we all had this experience. So sometimes you feel like, yeah, oh wow, I've got it now. This is amazing. This is wonderful. And then 2 minutes later, you can feel like, what? Wait, I lost it. Where is it? We go, this is normal. As you're moving from awareness of unity, which is what happens when you get it, to sustaining unity while in form. That's what's becoming in you. So that you're not living in this highs and lows, ins and outs, got it, lost it world. What's becoming is less of the highs and lows and more of a consistent recognition of what is. This in-between state of becoming isn't a failure. It's really important to know that, because so many people just really get on themselves like, oh, I did something wrong. How do I get it back? It's not a failure. It's creation in action. Remember the concept of movement. There's movement happening. Things change. They go. They come back. It'll be fine. Verse 16. When you are not wholly present as who you are experiencing still the image or after image of who you are. This image is like a lingering shadow. So now we get down to this idea of moving from image to presence. So this image is when you really identify as a separated being. That's what the image is. I'm a person. I'm a person. That's the image. And we have identified ourselves as being a person for so long that it's kind of habitual. It's our go-to. And so that shadow stays there, and when we lose our bearings, whoop, we slip back in. So the only thing that's important to remember here is that it's not who you are. Your idea of yourself as a separated being is false and is being corrected. You may have created a new image of yourself to accommodate what you have seen, but the idea of yourself as a person is being changed because it's a false idea. So probably what the mind did is, like it does with most of us, is it takes the idea of I'm a person, and instead of I'm a limited person who's a victim, then we improve our self-image to being I'm a spiritual person with access to God, to love. That's just an improved image. You're still a person. So that's what's being disintegrated. The stimulus for these after images is gone. So the stimulus for thinking that you're a person is gone because you've already seen. You know you're not what you thought you were. What remains is just memories. You have just memories of your childhood, memories of the things that you've been through, things that have happened in the past when you functioned as a separate person, and that's still there. Verse 19, this time of becoming is a time of coming to acceptance of them as what they are, images, to acceptance that they are not real. So it's telling you that this idea of a separated self with this identity was projected. It never was real. Never was who you are, and it's certainly not who you are now. This image, being but an image, is incapable of true joining in relationship. You must be fully present in order to join in relationship. So this is the whole thing we're after in A Course of Love. This recognition that love is different from what we thought it was. It's not one person being attached to another person. Relationship is actually joining and recognizing and knowing your oneness with whatever is. So images and ideas can't do that. When you feel like a vulnerable, limited person, don't react. Just let the feelings come and go. This is great advice. So as you sense yourself feeling vulnerable, there is a recognition that, oh, look, I see that's happening. Or defensive, or confused, or whatever it is that plunges you back somehow to recognizing that, oh yeah, I'm a vulnerable person. Yes, I can be hurt. I can be harmed. Just don't react when that happens. Just let the feelings come and go. That's just movement. Movement is a part of this creation. It's not a problem. So uncomfortable feelings are not a problem. It's not a sign that something needs to be fixed. This is just movement. Recognize it as the image of a separated being that is afraid. So that whole idea that you've carried of yourself as a person is feeling threatened, and it has reason to be afraid because it's on its way out. There's going to, as you move in this direction, you're going to have less and less attachment to that person. It's not that, the form that you're in or the characteristics of that form are going to be gone. That's not what this is about. That's just a filter that you're playing through, and your attachment to it completely releases. It's just kind of your tool in the world of form. So all of your images are false images. That came straight from the text. I love it. So all of your pictures and ideas of yourself are wrong, on other people. Because no image could be your true identity. It's not a better, improved image. You're not going to be a more spiritual, more improved self person. You're not a person at all. So you must be something else. I'm not going to tell you what that is because, for one, it's really, words. Words aren't enough. But it's something you discover, and you've already tasted it. You already know. An image or idea can't know unity in relationship, but you can. You've already done it. You've experienced it. So you can't be that. You can't be an image. You can't be an identity. You can't be a separated person, because a separated person can't do that wonderful, magical, amazing thing that you do when you join something. So it says, be fully present for the movement of creation. Show up. Show up for whatever's moving. Stop opposing it and show up and see what's there. The movement that is a gift to you. Remember, it said it was a given. The changing phenomenon is a gift. Rest in your being. In other words, don't forget who you are. And rest there. Take comfort there. Let that be your anchor. And you will effortlessly express the love that you are. So we come back to those three components of creation. Movement. Be present for the movement. See what's there. Show up. Receive it. Be in the present moment and receive that gift. And then being. Rest in your beingness. Find time to just hang out in your own being, in that energy, that presence. And then the third component, expression. When you do those things, you will effortlessly express your true nature, which is love. You won't have to try to express. It will just happen. It just comes from you effortlessly, because you will not be blocking your true nature. Anyway, a lot here, but if it feels overwhelming, don't worry. You're not going to be left here. Actually, there's a lot to follow in the 40 days and 40 nights that's going to help you recognize this more and more and more, but you're being prepared for what's ahead, and it's pretty exciting. And anyway, thank you so much for joining me. We have one more chapter before we're finished with the chapters of the dialogues, and so I look forward to doing that last chapter with you soon.